It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations, we cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
It's great to have you here this weekend. We start off the show welcoming more listeners on board, but it's kind of bittersweet at the same time. America Outdoors Radio is now airing in Lewis County, Washington on KELA AM 1470. It's a station that used to carry our sister show, Northwestern Outdoors Radio, until an ultra-local outdoors radio program started in the area, focusing on hunting and fishing, and yes, the politics about both subjects in southwestern Washington state. For the last year or so, the hosts of this show, Untamed Outdoor Radio, have been Colin Hamilton and Kelly Barnum. They are both passionate outdoorsmen, and they were never, ever afraid to state their opinions on the air, even when those opinions meant a loss of advertising revenue when one of their sponsors pulled the plug on them. Unfortunately, life got in the way of the show for these two men, and they made the hard decision to end their show. Am I happy to be back on the air with all of you in Centralia and Chehalis, Washington? You bet I am. But am I sorry we have lost a couple of great voices on the airways promoting the outdoors? Yes, I definitely am. There are not many of us out here sounding the bugle call to beckon our fellow outdoorsmen and women afield, and every time we lose a voice, we lose a little bit of the outdoors too. Colin, Kelly, I wish you both the best. You did a great job, and we're going to miss listening to both of you on Untamed Outdoor Radio. This week on America Outdoors Radio, we'll start off south of the border on the East Cape of Mexico's Baja Peninsula and tell you about a Wahoo tournament taking place this summer at a very nice resort. This tournament is open to anyone who wants to participate, whether you own a boat or not, and the cash and prizes being given away for this one-day event are pretty impressive. We'll put down our fishing gear and pick up a pistol, where we'll take a close look at the front and rear sights. Why? Because Doug Orlob has invented something very unique called the Occluder sight that is going to help you acquire targets faster and hit them more accurately. That's why. We'll secure our firearms in a safe location and head to Oregon, where Tamara Mounter will tell you how the saltwater fishing is going right now and what she expects for the summer ahead. Speaking of summer fishing, you'll want to have your boat and motor in good shape for the upcoming season, and Ken Estes with Cascade Marine from Portland, Oregon is back to give you some great advice about how you can go about that, so you're not floating downstream with an engine that won't start. We've got outdoors news covering everything from shellfish sniffing dogs to an update about the crumbling Gander Mountain outdoors store chain empire. And speaking of Gander Mountain, boy oh boy, that has been one heck of a mess. I mean, just a few years ago, they were on top of the world, rapidly expanding, and then, all of a sudden, Gander Mountain wasn't doing too well because they expanded a little bit too fast for their britches in an environment that seems to favor online retailers over brick-and-mortar retailers. And now, Gander Mountain is bankrupt. A new company has come along, and they've issued a press release about what's happening next to Gander Mountain, and it really goes to show the world of winners and losers, not only in the outdoors industry, but business in general. After we finish talking about the Gander Mountain fiasco, we'll head north to Alaska, talk about a happier subject, fishing. We'll tempt you with a real Alaska adventure when we chat with Ron Jewett with McDougall Lodge. He's putting together some multi-day float trips at an incredible discounted introductory rate for the first people who sign up for this adventure, an adventure that I think you will remember for a long time for both its unique aspects and the great fishing you're going to find there. But before we go north to Alaska, we've got to head south to Mexico, so let's do that now. Next on America Outdoors Radio, we are taking you to the East Cape of Baja, Mexico. That's where on August 26th, the first annual East Cape Gold Cup Wahoo Tournament's taking place at Van Wormer Resorts. With us here to tell you more about it is Eddie Dalmau. Eddie, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, John. I really appreciate it.
So let's talk a little bit about this first annual Gold Cup Wahoo Tournament. For our listeners who don't know, tell them about the Wahoo as a game fish.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a lot of success with our previous tournament, the Dorado Shootout. And with the success of that and the tremendous wahoo fishing that we've had the last couple of years, we decided let's get together and talk to our sponsors about having a wahoo tournament. And wahoo is one of our most popular game fish down there. They're one of the fastest species of fish down in the East Cape, and people love to catch them and eat them. So we decided, hey, let's do a tournament. And so we got our sponsors behind us, and Volkswagen is giving us a Volkswagen Gold to give away for the largest wahoo caught on that Saturday, which would be August 26th. So basically the teams will go out. We're expecting anywhere between 30 to 50 teams participating in the tournament, and they'll go out and fish for 8 hours, and the biggest wahoo that's weighed that day is going to win the Volkswagen Gold and about $15,000 in cash. The team entry fee is only $350, and that's for the entire team, and you can have 4 guys on a team. So it's very affordable, and the payout is very nice for a tournament this size.
Oh, it sounds like a great time, and you're right, an absolutely great payout for the tournament, though somebody's got to arm wrestle for that car versus the money, it sounds like. So here's the next question for you. What about folks who want to participate, but they don't have a boat? Can they fish with one of the guides that you work with at your resorts?
Yeah, absolutely. We actually have the largest boat fleet in all of Mexico. We have 50 boats in our fleet, so we have a combination of cabin cruisers, and we have also super pongas. So most people that stay with us, they have a boat assigned to them. So you just come out and stay with us. The Hotel Palmas de Cortez is going to be the host hotel, and that's located in Los Barillas, just about an hour north of San Jose del Cabo. And we also have another hotel. It's about 300 yards down the beach, which is called Playa del Sol. So anybody who gets a room with us will get a boat for the tournament. And then we also have a lot of boats in town that are privately owned, which a lot of people can charter as well.
And let's talk a little bit about those 2 hotels, especially Palmas de Cortez. That's got a great reputation.
Yeah, absolutely. That's our flagship hotel. It's been around since the early 60s. The Van Wormer family, it's been a family-run business since the early 60s, and they've kind of developed that into one of the elite fishing resorts in Baja. So anybody who's coming down is not really looking for the party scene and just looking to come down, relax with the family, do some fishing in a not too touristy area, it really appeals to them. So we're getting a lot of people who have, are accustomed to going to Cabo San Lucas to come fishing, but they've kind of gotten tired of that touristy area. So they've kind of come up with us, and they've really found a real gem in Palmas de Cortez, being able to fish right from the dock, right out in front of the hotel. You wake up in the morning, you have breakfast, you walk down to the dock, you jump on your boat, you go fishing for 8 hours, and then you come right back to the hotel where you can jump in the Infinity Edge pool to some bar or take a nap in your room. It really appeals to a lot of people, so it's a really nice operation, and it's set up really nicely for families and for fishermen alike.
Well, it sounds very appealing to me, and folks, I can tell you, I've got a bunch of friends who have gone down there to the Van Wormer resorts, and they have loved the experience. They go back year after year after year, not just because of the resorts, but because of the incredible fishing there. Let's go ahead one more time, give folks the details about your first annual East Cape Gold Cup Wahoo Tournament. It's August 26th. 2017. The winning team is going to get a Volkswagen Gold, and if there's 50 teams that sign up, about $15,000 in cash. How do they sign up to participate?
Just visit our website at vanwormerresorts.com. We have a tournament page there where it lists our 3 big tournaments. The Wahoo tournament is one of the tournaments listed there. You'll have an entry form there, and you can just give us a call as well. Our phone number is 877-777-8862, and we'll give you all the information there.
That's 877-777-TUNA. That's 877-777-TUNA, or go to vanwormerresorts.com. That's vanwormerresorts.com, and sign up for the first annual East Cape Gold Cup Wahoo Tournament. Eddie, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Rad Power Bikes is an electric bike manufacturer offering direct-to-consumer pricing on powerful premium electric bikes. Because they sell direct to you, the consumer, you won't see the large retail markup that would be present if you were buying from a third party or a dealer, ensuring you're always getting a performance e-bike at a fraction of the cost. Visit radpowerbikes.com or call 1-800-939-0310 to learn more about their models or to place an order. Join Rad Power Bikes in jump-starting the electric bike revolution today.
Hughes Craft is the Pacific Northwest best-selling boat. It's a family fishing boat that has been providing the most safety, fishability, and the best value to Northwest boaters since 1948. Hughes Craft's welded aluminum boats are built for serious fishermen with plenty of room for fighting fish, not the rest of the crew. Our state-of-the-art design allows for pure fishing functionality and the durability to last season after season, year after year, and decade after decade. To find the Hughes Craft dealer nearest you, visit hughescraft.com.
The Caddis Game Changer breathable waders are going to change the way you fish. You've always counted on Caddis waders to keep you warm and dry through the years, and Caddis never lets you down. Now comes the Game Changer. It's the same tough durability and the addition of a zippered hard pouch pocket that opens up to become a work shelf. Now you can change accessories on the water for maximum flexibility. Look for Caddis Game Changer breathable waders wherever quality fishing products are sold or online at caddiswaders.com.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this segment of the show is sponsored by the American Shooting Journal. It's the monthly magazine covering the firearms and shooting scene throughout North America. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Next up, speaking of firearms and sights for firearms, we are taking you to Spokane, Washington. That's where we're going to chat with Doug Orlob. He is the inventor of the Occluder sight. Doug, welcome to the show.
And how are you?
Doug, I'm doing great. What exactly is the Occluder sight for pistols?
The Occluder sight is a sight that's designed to block your non-shooting eye. So it's a standard 3-point sight like any other sight, except that your non-shooting eye cannot see the points. So it allows you to get a sight picture really fast.
So I know that any firearms instructor is going to teach you when it comes to firing a pistol to keep both of your eyes open. But you have a lot of folks who will do the old squint method, and they'll close that one eye and they'll use the other eye. Sometimes they're even using the wrong eye. What are the problems with keeping one eye closed?
The biggest problem is you don't have balance. Your brain needs all the input it can to maintain balance, and when you close an eye, you lose balance, you lose depth perception, and it's not as comfortable. So with both eyes open, you've got your balance, everything else, and when you can maintain a sight picture, it's definitely an advantage.
And I guess that's the other issue we have here, and why you've come up with this sight, is the fact that some people, when they do have both eyes open, they have a really hard time lining up that sight picture so it's true. So I presume that's why you've invented this device. And why don't you tell our listeners exactly what it looks like compared to a normal front sight, rear sight lineup on a pistol?
That's kind of a fun way. That's really what the whole sight does. When you open both eyes, you can either focus on the front sight post and you only see one and you see two targets, or you can look at your target and you'll see two sets of front sights and two sets of rear sight. And what's unique about my sight, when you open both eyes, you can only see one front sight and two rear sights with your shooting eye. And it'll pretty much go to your dominant eye right off the bat because there's only one choice. And any other sight that's made, you open both eyes and you'll see double sights. And in panic situations where you come up to shoot, this isn't something that is designed to shoot at 200 yards. It's how fast can I come up with a sight picture and how fast can I shoot straight. And when I eliminate two choices down to one, then your brain just gets one message. You have one red dot out there, and that's where it's going to hit.
You know, Doug, I love this theory, and I immediately go back to my days as a police officer out at the range trying to master the Colt 1911 45. And I had that exact issue. I would focus on trying to get that perfect sight picture, and invariably, I would screw up the shot. My instructors would always say front sight, front sight, front sight. So I'd focus on the front sight, and when I did that, it worked well. But you had to, like you said, consciously focus on that front sight. And for me, there was always a delay in doing so. It sounds like the occluder sight really makes things a lot faster when it comes to target acquisition.
And that is true. It really makes it fast. Matter of fact, comments from the very first people that did an interview, they said it's faster. And I posed them, I said, now what's that mean in a gunfight?
It means a lot, that's for sure. So here's the next question, Doug. Are you the inventor of the occluder sight? And if so, how did you come up with this?
Well, I am the inventor, and I have, from the time I was 14 years old, I've always wanted to be an inventor and come up with something. And when I retired, I had the time to think clearly about stuff. And I tell young kids all the time, if you're a creative thinker, then keep a notepad next to your bed, because some of our most creative thinking is just as we're falling asleep or as we're waking up. And remember that stuff. And I have probably written out 300 different ideas, but you've got to come up with something that you can actually make yourself. And I just wanted to solve the problem of double vision. And the first time I was holding a rifle, and I saw two front sights with both eyes open, and I stuck my thumb up, and I blocked the other sight. And I said, well, if I can do that with my thumb, I can do it on purpose on the gun. And virtually I went from front sight and said, hey, that works. And I said, maybe I can do this with the rear sight too. And I pushed it forward, and sure enough, I was able to occlude both front and rear sight.
And that's really what it comes down to, the occluder sight. You're compressing the distance between the front and rear sight. Is that correct?
I do compress the distance. The advantage of that is you get your planes are a little bit closer. Disadvantage is it cuts your sight radius a little, but it only cuts it about 20 millimeters. And when you're eliminating double vision, you virtually come up with a sight, and you don't see double. You see single. You see one target, and you see one set of sight. It's a huge advantage.
You're listening to America Outdoors Radio. We're talking to Doug Orlob from Spokane, Washington, about his really unique invention for pistols, the occluder sight, which eliminates the issues of double vision and helps you with faster target acquisition. What kind of pistols will the occluder sight fit on?
Right now I have a limited selection, and it's primarily because I'm a beginner business, kind of like starting out in your garage, and almost all the Glock, so Glock 17, 21. Then I make them for the Smith & Wesson M&P, the whole M&P series, the Springfield XD, XDS, XDMs, and I will be manufacturing them. I've got 200 on order right now for the 6-hour 320, which is new military weapon, and I have a lot of requests for that. One reason I don't make them for 1911s is because every company makes a different dovetail, and these are dovetail specific. So in order to mount them, I've got to have all the information on the dovetail, and I can't make one for one gun and then not be able to use it on anything else. So it gets complicated in the mechanics of it.
It sounds like that's my loss as a 1911 shooter, Doug. Either that or you're going to have to switch me over to a Glock or something else so I can try out one of these occluder sights. Who are using these sights? Are we talking about competitive shooters? Are we talking about casual shooters? Law enforcement? Exactly who are buying your products?
Well, I do have some competitive shooters, but I have some, you get down to the front sight, and people have been training that so much that this is such a new product that when you come out, you go front sight, and you only have one instead of two images. So it kind of conflicts in some of the training. People are buying this. When I go to gun shows, 80%, 90% of the people just go, you're kidding me. And can't believe that it took this long to come up with this invention. And so I'm real proud of that. And I get that joy of watching people be kind of blown away with the idea and how well it works. And I'm just a beginner, so I'm just getting into the market, and I'm having a blast that any inventor has when people look at something that's your idea and they just go, wow.
So, Doug, last question for you here is where can folks buy the Occluder site? Because we have a station in Spokane where folks can get it locally, but we've got listeners all the way to Chattanooga, Tennessee, up to Anchorage, Alaska, and down to Needles, California. How can they get one of these sites?
We have a website, occludersite.net, and we have it open for choices. You can use PayPal to order it, and I ship them out as soon as I get them.
All right. So the place to start off with is the website. That's occludersite.net. I'm going to spell that for you, folks. OCCLUDER site, just like a gun site, .net. That's Occluder, OCCLUDER site.net. Doug, we've got to go, but this is a really unique invention, and thanks for sharing it with our listeners on America Outdoors Radio.
Totally my privilege. Thank you very much for your time.
The Deadfoot Arms Modified Cycle System with folding stock adapter is the only drop-in side folder for the AR-15 rifle that allows for full weapons function with the stock folded or deployed. 100% combat veteran-owned and operated, all products made in the USA. Contact Deadfoot Arms at 608-764-3176, 608-764-3176, or log on to deadfootarms.com to upgrade your rifle today. That's deadfootarms.com. Plain meat is boring, and any cook worth their salt knows seasoning that meat is important. That's why a spice set from the Miklich Company store in Spokane is the perfect gift for the meat griller in your life. For only $19.95, you can get one of 4 gift boxes, each with 4 different spices, sauces, or rubs. Choose from the Barbecue Blends gift pack, the Hot and Spicy gift box, the Grill and Roast gift set, or the General Seasonings gift pack. Pick them up at the Miklich Company store at 130 North Stone in Spokane, or order online at SpokaneSpice.com.
Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the magazine that every month covers the fishing scene, the hunting scene, and the outdoor scene throughout the Pacific Northwest. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Speaking of the Pacific Northwest, that's where we're taking you, to the Oregon coast. We're talking with Tamara Mountner. She is the co-owner of Garibaldi Charters. Tamara, welcome to the show.
Thanks, John. Great to be here.
Tamara, let's dive right into it. How has the fishing been in the saltwater this spring?
It's been great. We've been seeing steady limits of rockfish and plenty of lingcod jumping on board, too.
So let's talk about those two species. The rockfish that you're targeting, are we talking about what a lot of folks refer to as those black sea bass that run about 2 to 3 pounds?
Yep, that's it. We've actually been seeing a pretty good grade. We've been seeing steady catches of 3 to 4 pound fish and lots of lingcod coming on board this time of year. So it's a great time to get out for that.
And lingcod, folks, one of the tastiest fish you are ever going to eat. They are definitely a white meat fish, known for their very mild flavor. What is the size limits when it comes to lingcod? How many can you keep there off the Oregon coast?
Well, you can keep up to 2 lingcod per person. They do have to be 22 inches and over, so you know if you get a keeper, you got a pretty good fish on your hands. And they are an excellent eating fish. I highly recommend getting out in the spring and getting some of those in your freezer for the rest of the year.
Now, I know the answer to this, but a lot of our listeners don't. How big do those lingcod get?
Oh, they get huge. We see some of them out here, up to 30, 35 pounds. You'd have to be lucky to get one that big, but it does happen. See those coming in every now and then.
And I'm guessing this happens a lot, where folks are reeling in a rockfish and all of a sudden a big ling will come up and just inhale that rockfish that's on an angler's line.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the most fun ways to catch them. We call that a piggybacker or a hitchhiker, and that's just a real thrill when you can get a fish that way. it's a blast. 2 for the price of 1.
Absolutely. All right, let's turn our attention to what's coming up next. I understand that halibut season's opening up this weekend. How good is the halibut fishing off the northern Oregon coast there?
Oh, it's usually pretty successful, and we're looking forward to a bunch more days this season. We've got days running all the way into June, so we still have openings, but you definitely want to get your reservation in as soon as possible because those days are filling up. Give us a call if you guys want to get on board for one of those offshore halibut trips. It's a real blast.
So let's talk about the size of the halibut there off the Oregon coast. I mean, when you go down in California, especially when you're fishing inshore, you can catch them, but they're small. When you go up to Alaska, you can catch them, but they can be really big. What's the size that most of your anglers are reeling up when it comes to the halibut there?
Well, here off the Oregon coast, we are typically seeing fish right around 25, 30 pounds, and that's a really good eating size. You know, we typically get most of our fish that size, although we do sometimes see 40, 50, even higher coming in. But most of the fish that everybody are reeling up are that perfect eating size of 25 to 30 pounds.
You know, it's funny about that, too. A lot of folks think, I need a big fish so I can bring more of that fish home. But you're right. People in the know understand that for whatever reason, those 20 to 30-pound halibut, they really are the best-tasting fish. Is it kind of like a deer? You know, a young deer tastes better than an old deer? Is it the same thing with halibut?
Well, I'm not much of a hunter, but I imagine that's true, yeah. I know that everybody around here is happy to get one that's just, you know, right in that, like you said, right in that 20 to 30-pound range. And it still gives you a pretty good chunk of meat to put in your freezer. You know, you usually get a little less than 50% meat off of that. So you're looking at a good, 14 pounds on a 30-pound halibut.
Okay, so let's head further into summer because now is actually the time to book for a lot of these summertime fisheries. And let's briefly talk about salmon. Let's briefly talk about tuna. Both are options there for you.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to a good season this year. We've got a new trip that we're offering this year. We're going to be fishing the Buoy 10 fishery with our salmon boat. Got a real experienced guide with us this year. His name's Chad, and he's going to be taking folks out of the Astoria Marina for some excellent salmon fishing during the month of August. We're also looking forward to a good tuna season this year. We're going to be geared up and ready to go probably at the beginning of July so that we can hop on out there as soon as we get reports of tuna coming in. We may even have live bait as soon as the later part of July this year.
Wow. All right, folks, we have got to go. But as you just heard, there's a lot of opportunity waiting for you off the northern Oregon coast. Whether you want to go after rockfish or lingcod or halibut or salmon or tuna, you can do it all with Garibaldi Charters. The website to go to is GaribaldiCharters.com. I'm going to spell that for you. Garibaldi is GARIBALDI Charters.com. That's GaribaldiCharters.com. Check them out. Make your reservation now because they do fill up. Tamara, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thanks, John. We'll talk to you soon.
Next on America Outdoors Radio, Memorial Day weekend means the official start of boating season is underway, and a lot of folks out there have not had their boats in the water since Labor Day weekend. So we thought we'd check in with a guy who knows about boat maintenance. His name is Ken Estes. He is with Cascade Marine in Portland, Oregon. Ken, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
Ken, let's talk about those folks who haven't had their boat in the water for about 6 months now. What are some things they need to do to make sure they have a trouble-free first outing this summer?
Well, the first thing they need to do is let that boat start up in the driveway. Let it run for a good 30 minutes on the hose. I'm seeing an exceptional amount of water in the fuel due to the incredibly hard winter we had this year.
Really? That's very interesting to me. Tell me more about what happens if people don't do that.
Well, what happens is, you start it up, it starts, runs, pumps water fine, and then you get to the river. You get off of the dock, you start cruising along, and then all the water that's in the tank, because the boat's sitting in the water, the back of it is down, so the water runs to the bottom of the fuel tank, gets picked up, floods out the carburetor or fuel system, whatever it would be, and you come to a screeching stop in a hurry.
And voila, your boating trip, the first one of the year, is ruined.
It is best bet to avoid that is to have a kicker motor on an independent fuel supply.
All right, that makes perfect sense. Any other tips you have for folks before they head out of the water this summer?
Well, the water is extremely high this year. One thing that's important would be to be a little bit better prepared this year, be more cognizant of things that are floating. We've had a lot of propeller strikes lately, which you usually get when the water is really low. But right now, oh man, the dams are dumping water like crazy. There's all these logs and debris and trees and everything floating down the river.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And for our listeners that are not in the Northwest, just so you know, we have had a winter of winters here in the Pacific Northwest, and there are incredibly high water levels, lots of debris in the water, so that's some great advice. Last but not least, if people want to do a preseason checkup, what is the place they need to go to in the greater Portland area?
Well, we'd love to help you out here at Cascade Marine Center on 149th and Southeast Stark. Been around since 71.
And you've got a website, too, and they've also got boats for sale, folks. The website to go to is CascadeMarineCenter.com. That's CascadeMarineCenter.com. Any parting shots before we go, Ken?
Well, I'd love to see everybody on the river having fun. My big tip for the entire year, though, is it's so much cheaper to do service than it is to do repair. Come in, buy the correct fluids, buy the correct oils, get a little bit of advice, and save yourself a ton of trouble later.
That's some great advice from Ken Estes at Cascade Marine. It's your boating center and your service center in the greater Portland, Oregon area. Find out more at CascadeMarineCenter.com. Always a pleasure, Ken.
Thank you.
Garibaldi Charters offers fantastic fishing for salmon, tuna, halibut, and bottomfish off the North Oregon coast. With only an hour-and-a-half drive from Beaverton, you can get here in a hurry and go fishing. Two of our more popular offerings include private charters for salmon and live bait tuna fishing. We can also accommodate groups of up to 20 people on our boats. Book your adventure now at GaribaldiCharters.com or call 1-800-900-HOOK. That's 1-800-900-HOOK or GaribaldiCharters.com.
Service is always cheaper than repair. That's a truism from Ken Estes at Cascade Marine Center in Portland, Oregon. Go ahead and drop by and see Cascade Marine for all of the parts, accessories, and honest advice you need to keep your boat and motor running. No one wants to be the guy plugging the boat ramp up because his boat doesn't start. So head down to Cascade Marine Center in Portland or give them a call or check out their website at CascadeMarineCenter.com.
So let me tell you a little story. A few years ago, I was traveling up to the Cowlitz River to do a little steelhead fishing. Right about this time of year, I hit a sheet of black ice, and in a matter of seconds, I had $50,000 worth of boat laying in a ditch upside down. My first call was to my insurance company, a company that if you own a boat, you need to know about. The company is called the Boat Insurance Agency, and they're located right here in the Northwest. In a very short amount of time, my totaled boat, a situation that could have sunk me, was resurrected and made right. I've since learned that my outcome isn't always the case for others, which is why you need to be sure your boat insurance is being handled by boat insurance experts. This is what they do, folks. Visit them on the web at boatinsurance.net. That's boatinsurance.net. The Boat Insurance Agency. Hey, this is a call you have to make. You need to know that your boat is really covered. boatinsurance.net.
Clipper Ship RV Motorhome Rentals offers you the opportunity to explore Alaska in the comfort of a motorhome. Unpack once and make your own trip off the beaten path. Clipper Ship offers different sizes from 19 to 36-foot long motorhomes in Class A, B, and C models. Don't worry about bringing along extras with you. The utensils, linens, and unlimited mileage are all included in the price, and we guarantee you the best rates in Alaska. Find out more at ClipperShipRV.com. That's ClipperShipRV.com.
With Kodiak Combos, fishing and hunting in Alaska isn't a part of the time job, it's an all-the-time job. For over 20 years, Kodiak Combos has been providing year-round hunting and fishing adventures from Kodiak Island. Whether you need a transport to a trophy Sitka blacktail, want to troll for big king salmon, take in some wing shooting, or jig for big halibut, lingcod, and rockfish, we can do it for you. Find out more at KodiakCombos.com.
If you like the show you are listening to right now, you can listen to it and many more just like it on Reno Viola Outdoors Radio. Fishing, hunting, boating, and the rest of the great outdoors 24/7, 365 on Reno Viola Outdoors Radio. Download the free Reno Viola's Outdoor Radio app. That's Reno Viola Outdoors Radio.
You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. It's time for some outdoors news, sponsored by California Sportsman Magazine. Starting off the news, you've heard of trained dogs, also called canines, that search for drugs, that search for people, and that search for bombs, right? But I bet you've never heard of a canine trained to search for zebra mussels before, have you? That's what you'll find at select boat inspection stations in the state of Minnesota. From the Outdoor Daily News, we learn 2 new canine dogs named Shelby and Storm are joining veteran shellfish sniffing canines Brady and Reggie as members of the Department of Natural Resources, who have been trained to quickly locate zebra mussels on boats and trailers, preventing the spread of aquatic invasive species. So far, these efforts are paying off. In the land of 10,000 lakes, less than 2% of Minnesota lakes are listed as infested with zebra mussels. In other news, last week we told you Camping World bought out Gander Mountain, the Minnesota-based outdoor retailer who operates 126 sporting goods stores across the nation, primarily in the Midwest, the South, and the eastern portion of the country. This week, we tell you that if you have any Gander Mountain gift cards, you better use them fast. That's right. The Outdoor Hub reports Gander Mountain is having a going out of business sale at all 126 of their stores, and they will no longer accept their gift cards for anything at all after May 18th. That's a change from what we reported last week when Camping World said they intended to operate 17 stores and close the rest. Well, they're closing them all now, and if you go to the Gander Mountain website, all you're going to find there, as far as the website goes, is a going out of business banner. In one of those sugar-coated press releases you only see when one big company devours another, Camping World, which sells RVs all over the country, and Gander Mountain issued a joint press release stating, "We at Gander Mountain believe that our best days are still ahead of us." I'm trying not to laugh when I say that. And we ask that you join us in welcoming and supporting this successful transition. Successful, I might add, for Camping World, not so successful for Gander Mountain. Camping World shares the same passion for the outdoors as Gander Mountain and our customers, making for a great melding of business and outdoors communities. Welcome to the team, Camping World. Thanks for taking us over, Camping World. We are excited for the future and the infinite possibilities ahead of us to serve the outdoor community. At this point, I should be cueing in the song from Queen, "Another One Bites the Dust." Oh boy, I don't know who wrote that one or who approved it, but from the happy-go-lucky blue skies or smiling at me tone, I'm guessing it was someone from Camping World and not from Gander Mountain. As for all of you employees who have worked for Gander Mountain and continue to do so in these very troubling times, we wish you the best. I hope you land on your feet and in a good place after this is all over. We know this is a tough time, and you are in our prayers. Next on America Outdoors Radio, we're taking you north to Alaska. We are visiting with Ron Jewett. He is the manager of McDougall Lodge, located about 65 miles northwest of Anchorage. And this portion of the show, by the way, is sponsored by the Alaska Sporting Journal, which covers the hunting, fishing, and adventure scene throughout the state of Alaska. Ron, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Ron, let's start off with the McDougall Lodge. Why don't you tell our listeners a little bit about the lodge and what you traditionally offer guests there?
Well, the lodge, like I say, you said it. It's 65 miles northwest of Anchorage. We're on the Yentna River. We're about a mile south of what they call Lake Creek. It's a fantastic fishery in the region up there off the Yentna River. Traditionally, we offer 5-night, 6-day trips, fully guided. You know, we're a hotel, and we're a restaurant, and we're a fish camp, and we have some of the best guides on the river, and it's just usually a great trip.
So these trips, are they for rainbow trout, are they for salmon, are they for both, and are they for more?
Well, we get all 5 species of salmon coming up our river and our drainage, so it's traditionally they come up for the salmon, but our rainbow fishing is just epic there on the Lake Creek area. We also get grayling in the first of the season and the last part of the season, and there's a few lakes above us where we actually get some nice northern pike also. So it's just a really good fishery.
Oh, it sounds fantastic. And call me crazy, but I got to tangle with northern pike one time on a float plane trip out to the Northwest Territories. I love fishing for those guys. They are just a blast. Now, don't get me wrong. I would much rather eat rainbow trout or especially salmon, but if you're just looking for a good fight with a bruiser of a fish, those northern pike are just a ton of fun, aren't they?
Oh, they're fun to catch, especially on a fly. They're really fun to catch, yep.
Now, that I haven't done yet, but let's go ahead and change topics here because I understand that you are offering 4-night, 5-day float trips. Where are those taking place?
Yeah, this is something we've been planning on doing for years, and this year we decided to do it. You're actually going to fly from Anchorage to Lake Chalatenna, which is about 70 miles north of our lodge. Lake Creek starts at Lake Chalatenna. And so you'll fly in to Lake Chalatenna. You'll be met by your guides, and you'll float for 5 days and 4 nights on the river, and epic rainbow fishing and grayling fishing. And then you'll get into the salmon the farther you go down the river. And the last day, you'll actually end up at our lodge, and you'll be able to sleep in the lodge and have a warm meal and take a shower and fly out.
This sounds like an absolute blast. So let's get into this a little bit more. It sounds like this is tailor-made for the fly angler, but can spin anglers have fun on this trip too?
Oh, definitely. It's a real easy fishery. Lake Creek's a real easy fishery. You'll catch fish as you're floating down. You'll catch fish while you're on the banks getting ready to have your meals and to sleep that night. Doesn't matter if you're going to be spin casting or fly fishing. It's just it's a real easy fishery.
So tell me about the rafts themselves. Is there basically an oarman, the guide, and then the clients are fishing, or is everybody involved with paddling and fishing too?
No, the guides will have the oars. It'll be a 16-foot raft, have all the gear in it, and there'll be 4 places for the guests to stay on. We're typically going to take 3 guests at a time, and they'll just sit back, relax, and fish as they're floating down the river. And there are 2 real nice rapids also. That's going to be a fun. I believe they're number 2 and number 3 rapids that you'll go over on this trip. So it's an exciting trip.
I'm guessing tons of wildlife you're going to see along the way.
Oh, yeah. You'll see bear. You'll see moose. Of course, you'll see a lot of beavers. You'll see a lot of bald eagles. Yeah, there's a lot of wildlife up there.
So bring your cameras, folks, in addition to your fishing rods and your bear spray, too. And one more question for you. Obviously, you're going to be camping along the way. Tell me about the food. I'm guessing that you've got some pretty good shore lunches and some pretty good dinners in store.
Yeah, it really depends on which guide you have, but we're going to be cooking good meals. We'll have hearty dinners and good lunches and good breakfasts. I mean, I floated one time with some guys, and they wanted gourmet stuff, so we actually made gourmet meals for them. So it just depends what you want to do. But it's going to be good meals.
But folks, if that isn't enough, wait, as they say, there's more. I understand this being a new trip that the first 12 guests to book are not going to pay the regular posted price of $4,995. They're going to get a screaming deal. How good of a deal are they getting, Ron?
Well, we're going to charge them only $29.95 for the first 12.
That is amazing. Think about that, folks. A 4-night, 5-day float trip in Alaska with awesome fishing, awesome wildlife for only $29.95. I don't think you're ever going to find a better Alaska fishing deal than that. If you want to book a trip, the place to go to is their website. It's McDougallLodge.com. That's McDougall with 2 L's, lodge.com. Go on over there now and book a trip for this summer. It really is going to be one heck of a fishing and adventure experience. Bring your camera, bring your fishing rod, and get ready to make some memories you won't soon forget. The website again is McDougallLodge.com. Ron, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you very much.
We have got to go, but if you get a chance, go to our Facebook page at America Outdoors Radio. We're having a little contest there. Just like our page and go to the post where you'll find the Leupold binoculars and tell us what state you're from. That's all you have to do. And you are entered for a chance to win those binoculars as soon as we hit 1,000 likes on Facebook. While you're online, there's a couple of other places to check out as well. One of them is our website. You'll find that at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. And if you want to hear our show, there's a couple of ways you can hear our podcast. Number one, through that website I just told you about. Number two is through YouTube. Go to our channel. You'll find it just by typing in Northwestern Outdoors in one word and follow us, and you can hear podcasts from America Outdoors Radio and our sister show, Northwestern Outdoors Radio. If you don't want to hear all of the show, you can hear select segments through Podbean. You can download that one on Google Play and have it on your Android device. Again, that's Podbean. Look for America Outdoors Radio to hear selected interviews that we share on America Outdoors Radio. I do hope that you are blessed in the week ahead, and I hope that you're getting ready for maybe a Memorial Day weekend getaway full of camping, fishing, boating, and fun. Remember, it's your country and your outdoors.